huge development here as we see Kane currently go down, our 5th place team, leaving Cruel as a solo. We thought they were in such a good position. Yeah, not the best materials to their name, but now not a teammate either. Cruel now beamed down to almost 50 HP. No hard mats to his name. The spray from the SMG starting to come through at the same time. The pressure unrelenting, and no, he's going to be picked up. So that's now opening the woodworks for guys like Julian. If he can clutch this up as a solo to get up into the top 6, potentially even the top 5, but only 11 builds to his name. Not looking good.
For all the teams in the bubble, everyone in the top 10, it feels like, you know, there's so much on their mind in terms of being able to stay in the game, stay ahead of Surge. The brains can't handle that much capacity, and as a result, some things do get missed out on. Kane and Cruel down on Surge hand position. Julian Calm down a teammate, down on luck, down bad in the dirt as well. That is done for him. That's the 7th place team, and now the rest of the lobby is looking upwards, realizing exactly what's ahead of them. A chance at having a seat at the top 6. 2 of those chairs are almost kind of down. Floki and Clement in 3rd realize that the floor is kind of falling beneath them. They need to stay up here in the leaderboard. They want to keep pushing forward, and they definitely can. Kaizen and Yaisen, their 2 actual opponents basically have just gone down, and now for them what they need to do is just survive this surge. 2 people have to go down here, keep their composure, and try to get any placement available in this game.
Another big pop. Not sure if that's going to give him any more HP getting away from the surge. 56 below, but no, that trade not benefiting them one bit. Now the whole lobby's going to be aware that they're below the surge. That audio cue will be coming into any of the players around that these guys are ticking, losing shield, and again, this is the moment where players can start to lure them into their base. You got Fornax, Kovacs up above, who could really always do with this refresh being further down on the leaderboards, but I'm not sure if they're going to try to make the aggressive play. They're going to try to rotate for Nyazin and Kaizen. No, they're going to hit the pad, but the nice little slide to get himself closer to the zone at that point, but still 20 behind. This is just desperation at this point.
I'm watching their game bleed away. The inventory stacked up with shields, a launch pad ready to go as well. All they just didn't have were the shots, and as a result now, instead of being in a base that's ready to go for a big fly into this half and half zone, instead of being ready to take control of this game, they look scared in a box they didn't want to even be in a side of the zone they weren't even planning on playing from. Meanwhile, everyone else absolutely silent as they wait for the next portion of the game.
Alex Cod and Ziandi, our current leaders, still up in this as well, looking very healthy. We know there's a lot of disruption in the top 10 teams so far. Tons of them have managed to go down. Andrea and Lois down in that 13th, still in this as well.
Not a single shot in sight. One SMG rattling somewhere in the zone.
Players are scared.
Everyone is realizing that this is basically it. Second last game. This is kind of the only place where there will still be formalities. Still a few people playing for consistency. There's the first strike. It has to be apparently Andretta and Flois that start to get bullied. Of all players in the lobby, is going to be Lumbo trying to go for that forced push. 208 damage below. They have to look for something. Try to grab it, or it's going to be a choke. A big launch pad. They'll start to be striked in the sky as they move. 38 seconds to that 7th zone. Everyone now is playing for that position. They're playing for that win. They just want to stay alive as long as possible.
Andrea and Refsguard double dipping on that launch pad, hitting it, bouncing straight back to the front side of the zone with the minimal materials. This should save them up a ton. In the healing feed, we see another big one coming through from Clement, so he's popping off at the same time. The heals coming through onto Flois. Now Andrea has to put his team in a good position. They can tarp on the edge of the zone. They can go on that dead side. They can put themselves in a winning position for this game, in particular on the leaderboards, because they are 12th right now.
8 seconds till we see how difficult the zone will really be. Andrea and Flois staying side by side. Big takeover on height though. Zaka almost landing over and going for a fight. Decides not to. We're not going to be going to the bridge, but we will be falling through a bunch of cliffs. No bungee rope available for a bunch of these teams. The mats are running low. Andrea now diving into a box, 271 damage above. He can just play his entire game. 244 wooden materials. Has to catch up with exactly where Flois is. I'm not sure where he's at all. I don't even see him on the screen. He's basically playing as a solo right now. Kaizen only going down. He's dropped into someone else's box. I'm not sure exactly where his teammate is. They've found each other now, and the beams are starting to fly. Boofing randomly taken down. What a steal of mats. Just position, wealth, and they're still moving onwards, but the floor is falling. I mentioned the cliffs. They're just going everywhere. There's no chance for anyone to find any stability in this zone. Swifty as well as near the top is looking to see exactly what he can do.
Oh, Alex Codden alongside Zandy now going up for the high ground up against ABR and Ping at the same time. If they win this game, this could be massive because they'll be dropped out of the leaderboard. The current high ground team, no, it's going to be Zandy who gets knocked by Ping up on the high ground. He's looking for the body, he's looking for the refresh. He needs the materials to get himself back up in this, but he's got 4 maps. The high ground is open, it's free. None of the teams are looking up. None of the teams are realizing the opportunity, but someone is at the front side of the zone. The infinite Nanny, the crank, the Spider-Man fling comes out. We've seen so many of these shots hit connected so far, and it's Zach and Zara who managed to take the high ground, but yet again with minimal materials.
They saw it once, they said not today, and now they make the jump and the climb. Another team starts to come up with more mats. Who is it going to be? Is it revenge of the spiders from down below, or will they fall down the sprout? 22 more damage from Zara on the right side. He's trying to do anything to stay up top and have a flow in this conversation. Down below, Esti and Andretta are getting squished. There's Clement forcing fights down in the underground. This is huge. Esti's still taking a lot of damage. Andretta somehow survived. How is it even possible to build down here? It's so suffocating for a bunch of these players, but Andretta is finding a way. Deox now finally going down. Zara finds Ping, so they have some type of thing on hype, but no, it's Jeff and Kiandra who get it. Where does this team come from? 43 points. They might seal a ticket to the finals.
They might get their way through, but at this moment, they're going to have to do something more important than that, which is get some refreshes, get some HP, get some materials, get something going up in this game, because the single team looks up in the lobby. They're going to see the weaknesses. That was a high ground, but Jeff goes down, picked up, messing up completely. Not a single team understanding the holding, the understanding of up there, but it's Kylie. It's Kylie who goes up.
6 different teams alive, 7 players. Now it's just solos. Kylie looking to put his team on his back. Every single player now has lost his teammate. It's just them, their mats, their shots. A few ciphers on the ground. Kylie's all in with his mats. Force is now building up. It's a fight for height, and he actually denies them. Has the speed, has the peppers, and has the drop down, but misses the shot. Right side denied. A double ramp up top, blocked by a cone. Kylie still goes up. A dodge from Force. A shot from Force, but Kylie's too strong. The spider clip's not there in time, and it's Z-God with the win.
You said this would need to be done as a duo while talking about Alex God, while talking about Zandy. They've proved you, they proved me, they proved everyone wrong that a solo in the end game can clutch it up. The clutch master, Zandy, Alex God will pick up the victory royale and the qualification through. But don't worry, they are in first place currently, which means that the leaderboard's opened up big time.
Definitely shaking, but talk about a game that goes down to just a spider thread. If that shot from the web shooter hit, that would have been so different. So good though that Zandy and Z-God roll in and have this win under their belt going into the finals.
That was an incredible finish, I'm not gonna lie. I am at the edge of my seat. I wasn't sure who was gonna be able to pick it up. I thought Kylie was gonna be able to clutch it up with the Spider-Man. We've seen so many of those good clutches throughout the weekend, but look, you've seen our reactions. Let's throw it back to the desk to see what their reactions are.
I'm stunned. I'm shocked. Wow. You know, this was the perfect situation, right, for Kylie. The 1v1s all around the table, and just the way he was building too, you could just tell, like, watch the minimal build. 23, that's it. This is all he has to work with, and with every step he's not building aggressively, he's building like straight up, right? Jumping backward 11 onto the ramp, saying, look, I'm trying to use his minimal builds right there. Boom, he jumps up back up again, another ramp, right? He's not going on the offensive, very mindful of what he has, and right there he got the elimination, Levin, but he wasn't close enough to get the drops, which meant he had no build.
It's such a shame to see him go down like that. I'm sure he's so frustrated because he honestly was so close there, but to see Alex Corden and Zandy get the win, look, they've been really consistent, and I wasn't too sure about their chances of actually winning that, right? Zandy went down a bit earlier, and I didn't even have the thought in my mind that Alex Corden could even solo clutch that. So to see him just sort of pop out there at the very end, I'm sure he was thinking, what's going on? I've just taken out Logan. Where's the height team? Oh, victory royale. Okay, I guess we're into the final. Like, it was really just sort of crazy in that moment. But, you know, you can see here, these guys, Sundown, they have been pretty consistent today when you look at their games.
Yeah, and just keep an eye on the top left. It pretty much all happens at once. Like, in the same moment, we go from 4 down to 1 right there at the end. And I mean, it's just so unfortunate for Kylie, unable to channel, well, I guess since we're in Europe, their inner PDR parkour and hit that key mythic web slinger shot there that we've seen in so many of the other days, because that would have been the highlight play right there. But Force gave him just enough of a challenge, put just enough pressure, burned him out of like one more mat. You saw him go to throw the cone down, and that little input was the delay there that he didn't have, and then he wasn't able to swap over in time to get that possibly final saving sling, and instead it goes over to Zandy and Alex Cod.
It happens, and just like that, it happens, Ben. But on the other end, you got to congratulate them, right? They did get the victory out, but for Zandy, he was in first place, right? They got themselves the victory out, which means now this could be another duo that we pull out of the total pool of players, right? So there's a lot that is kind of unfolded here. And, you know, Levin, Sundown, we only have the one game left. So I want to call an audible here. I want to kind of throw up the graphic just to remind everyone, if you've just seen, you're like, but there's been a ton of games. Let's see who all of our victors are, and then we're gonna go right into standings. Okay, so once again, and I'm so sorry, is this, how do you guys say is Andy's teammate's name? I'm so sorry.
Alex Cod.
Alex Cod, there you go. Okay, I was like, I know that's not like Zeke. I don't know what it was, but this is what happens. Players always change their name. Okay, let's hit the standings. Let's get serious. Okay, one game left to go. Let's take a look at the bubble. Don't forget, top 6 will make it on 3. So right now, Snazy Nate, they come in today, and they're looking to hold Levin, but can they? Because Kane and Cruel, they're also doing very well.
Yeah, I think the big thing for Snazy and Nate is they'll just be hoping that somebody above them gets a victory royale, if not them, right? In terms of just, guys, let's make it deeper into the game, but if one of you could get the Vic Roy, it would do us a solid, you know what I'm saying? So this last game is going to get real intense because, Sundown, look how tight it is just points-wise. Even when you're going down to 10th, like, that's very easily jumpable in terms of getting in. Look at 11th as well, 101 points. It's going to go down to the wire.
Yeah, let's be honest here. Everybody in the top 13 who's just outside kind of that triple-digit range right now is in touching distance of that top 6 right at the end. It's going to be close. It'll be more beneficial if somebody in that top 6 does end up taking away a victory royale, like you said, because it pulls out just that many more points. But with only one match left to go, there are 7 spots on the line in the finals for the EU, F, and CS. The question is, who's going to grab them?
It's so tough, right? Like, this could be anyone. And like, the perfect situation is a team in the top 6 gets a victory royale, right? Because then that means that the top end will be able to kind of move up. And then it's kind of like, where did we all end after that game? But alternatively, if someone outside the top 6 gets that victory royale, then that top 6, like, it's already too close right now. So as we're watching this game, for you fans at home, like, watch that bottom left. It tells you where, like, that number with the little, like, Celsius sign is telling you what place they're in, right? So you can actively, moment to moment, see how close these positions are flipping. It is absolutely crazy. I mean, how are we feeling going to this last game? I'm not sold, man. I feel like anything I could have thought, like, predicted or whatever, I feel like every duo has stepped up in these moments, and they have said, this is it. We have to just kind of throw everything at the wall and then just hope that we can make it, you know, a win or a placement point. How are you feeling coming into this right now?
I think the big problem is if you're a fan of any of those teams, that's just right there, right? Just right there. It could easily be heartbreak, right? And so it's going to be entertaining for us. If you're watching from an outside perspective, you're just trying to have fun, enjoy the FNCS, this is perfect. This is everything you could ask for. But if you are one of those players or a fan of them, it is going to be really, really tight. You're going to be on the edge of the seat the whole game.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'm just rooting for good games, and we got one more left here.
Oh, Sundown, I don't want to say goodbye just yet, but it is time. We've made it to the end of today, which means one game left to go. Who will fill these final 2 spots? It's time to find out. This is game number 6 of the FNCS.
Thank you very much. The desk. Shao, I'm going to want you to look into your crystal ball for a second. I want you to rub it. I want you to sit and think, who's winning this game?
Oh, okay. Hold up. Let me actually look at the crystal ball real quick. I'm like zoned in on what to say in terms of, you know, how things are going. I think if it's poetic, you know, in terms of how the quals have been going, it has to be Floki and Clement, you know, in terms of how their journey's been from day 1 till now, the way the day 1 players have been rolling in as well. Even though they are basically close to qualifying in this game, they have to roll in.
Absolutely not certain they're first on the leaderboard right now. Remember, we have about the top 10 teams who are all in that qualification range area, whatever you want to really call it at this point. Whoever is on this bubble goes down early, mid, even at the start of the moving zones. This could be massive for any of these other teams, given that opportunity to catch up and overtake.
Yeah, and the big thing too is not just, you know, who's making it in, but where are they going to go? The finals, everyone is going to be watching to see which 7 teams roll in. It's the last game of the semifinals. Here we go. One more game. 7 more slots and 1 winning team with a direct ticket in. It can be any team playing right now that can hit that final. They just have to win. That being said, a bunch of them are close to that top 6. We're looking at Snazy, we're looking at Cruel. That 110-point line is where you have to be that tall, basically, to be in that top 6.
So SLQ slowly decide not to 50-50 this time and both get 150'd by a heavy shotgun from Snazy. So a little bit of a change up. We're kind of, I don't want to say gifted, that's not the right way to put it, but Snazy had a really easy time with Surge at the start of that previous game, purely based on that early contestation. We got to think right now, them being 5th on the bubble, this early game and how they play out Covert Canyon here means everything.
Every decision will be amplified, a butterfly effect towards the later portion of their game. 30 damage for Snazy in a place that could have been 60 or even 90. We'll see if that affects things in a few zones. Glubshy as well. His form of game will be aggression, already finding 1 elimination off spawn onto Chonkers. It's been the most active POI, I feel like, even past Tilted in terms of fights and shots. And so far, the way that he can get towards the finals will surely have to be a victory royale. 40 points at this point, Reese. Unless he's finding secret points we don't know about in the format, there's no way he qualifies off of consistency.
No. I mean, you know, there could be a lot of elims going on down. We see some nutty kind of stuff happening here, but it's interesting the change of pace that we've seen in Chonkers. It's been so chaotic, and it's almost poetic. Coming into the final game, it's just one team. They have the entire land to themselves and every opportunity to qualify.
Syndra and low ticks, this is where the pressure really starts to lock in, whether it is a POI like Chonkers where it's free, where it is, you know, maybe a place where they're worried and contested. What's on their mind is the fact that this will be a very different game for them overall. Symmetry gonna be right beside them to take a few shots. It's all about the win for them, and that's how you start a game right. Absolutely glorious prediction on movement, and Syndra has a free elimination to start this game off.
Beautiful. I've not seen a good snipe in a long time on the broadcast. Especially this season, since obviously they're a slight little bit weaker when it comes to Chapter 3, Season 1. You know, that not got that big one-shot potential from the maximum headshot. Look at a quick stat in the top right. Projected points needed to advance through to consistency is 139. Now, this could all change up depending on if one of the teams in that top 6 will qualify through. Someone's above that. Say if Looking Clement wins the game, for example, that will change up a little bit. But 139 is the magic number.
40 is then the normal number, unmagical. What's the opposite of magic?
Definitely unmagical number.
Unmagical number.
I don't have the exact words, but it's not magical.
Might not be able to cast spells. You can still go to like a, you know, a 9 to 5. You can still do what you want to do.
Cup tricks, you know.
Yeah. But what Blanca and Combat can still do is something absolutely completely magical, which is winning the game. That will still also get you in. It's 6 teams from that consistency, the top 6, and then the winner as well. We can't stress that enough. And both the teams that are fighting right now, Kidwo and Frey, Combeck and Blanca, I mean, for the moment right now, 33rd and 27th, consistency is nowhere near them. They'll have to force this fight. They'll have to force every fight possible. It seems like maybe take out as many teams towards the top, get the best loot possible, and just go for that win.
Yeah, you think you see a lot more teams play way more aggressive in this game than we've seen previously. And this is usually the case when it comes to that final game. Even though the off-spawn seems a little bit more calm because there's less teams in the lobby, more uncontested players. At the same time, the teams are almost in that we just need to win. And sometimes to win a game, you have to make aggressive plays. If you're just sitting on the low ground, boxing up, tunneling an end game, doing nothing, you're getting no match, you're getting no refreshes. You have to be able to be aggressive and make the plays to win a game.
They might be thinking, yo, then, you know, if that's the case, Reese and Shio, why don't people just disengage off of spawn in the last game? You have a better chance of surviving. You also have half less to loot. You also have no damage and, like, barely any builds because you have to share everything. In this game, when you want to win, sharing is usually not the way it's done.
Sharing is usually caring in real life. I would highly recommend it. But not in Fortnite.
Not in game.
Not in Fortnite.
Share with your teammates. Yeah. Yes. Otherwise, be selfish. Do you have an opinion on, you know, knocked bodies? Who gets the loot? Is it the person that gets the knock?
Are you referring to in an FNCS situation like this, or if we're playing arena?
if we're playing arena, because I know in FNCS it is what it is, you know.
Yeah, I just was wondering if there's a more analytical slide.
This is
it's just
far from analysis.
I mean, finders get keepers, really, you know.
Wow. Okay.
But only if I am not the one that gets the elim. If I get the elim, it's mine. If you get the elim, it's potentially mine if I'm there.
Maximum honor there from Resub. You heard it here first, folks.
It depends, you know, if there's like a pleasant back and forth. Oh, you go drop me this gold striker at one point. Then potentially I'll feel a little bit more open and relaxed about, you know, maybe giving you maybe a little AR, maybe SMG here or there.
We'll see. All I know now is anytime I'm playing with you, I'm just taking the loot. Kid and Cruel, they want to just, I feel like it's itching in their souls to just take all the fights inside the cavern. I'm wondering exactly how games also started for a bunch of players all across the map. What are they trying to steal away from others? Look at that triple edit from Frizusha. This is what I like to see, and he sets up his teammate perfectly. Karmi comes in, picks up that Flodax Elam.
That means Flodax switched drop spot yet again, as well, not yet again, sorry. I was actually saying in the last game, he was one of the players who's stuck to the Daily Bugle. Qualifiers, semis, doesn't matter. He's not moved one bit. And now in the final game, he's decided to move up, and it's just not worked out for him at all.
Yeah, he's not going to be moving to the finals.
That's also very relevant, true. Good stat, very important. If you see a team go out who is not in the top 6, their FNCS is over.
That's so scary. Wolfie is going to be in that spot with Mr. J, and this is a team, I know they're 5 points, but they've been so much fun to watch this entire weekend. They've had some of the craziest fights overall. They weren't the ones that were giving us the age fight, right? That was Rafa versus Kylie
no.
or something.
No.
They've had some cool breakdowns, some cool, I mean, if you're looking to study off-spawn engagements on what to do right, as well as sometimes what to do wrong, this is a very cool team to watch because they have been flipping some spots as well. Now, though, they have to play a certain part of the game where they haven't been to today at all. 5 points means they haven't really even made it past what, like top 30-ish even?
Well, no, remember, first game, 12 minutes they went down, and it was 48.
True. Okay.
So, you know, I don't know in terms of their best placement off the top of my head right now, but it's not been good enough.
I have to go through uncharted waters. Meanwhile, this is kind of the, I feel like, officially scariest spot to sit in. Julian Comtil, it's not about just surviving in whatever place you are in the leaderboard. It's not even about overtaking others. It's about being absolutely efficient and living in both worlds as much as possible. 7th place. They're 1 placement away currently from just qualing.
Now, this is an interesting position, though, because this is a north zone. I know it's shocking, but this is a north zone. And they're sitting boxing up on the south side of a relatively north POI, which means that all those players are coming in below them. So they should have great sight lines to get a bunch of tags. All the players rotating there. But if it pulls north for a second, they have to go through everyone else who's in that POI.
That's a very good thing to bring up. Usually it's not that big of a thing to analyze. You know, you look at bus pads. Oh, who's going to drop down first? I feel like it's never really that, you know, relevant. But when it comes to a tournament where over a few days, everyone's been playing in the South over and over again. You get used to a very specific type of game style unconsciously, right? When you look at the game now, if it does pull north in the final moments, we've been working to fix things over and over again, how your end game looks. It's all been based off of rocky reels. It's all been based off of rotations in the middle of the map. Now we go towards the top left. We're talking about snow. The lumberyard is now in play. This game will be very different for all of Europe and in a match where it matters the most.
It's poetic. The final game, the game that decides who is qualifying through, is completely opposite to every other game we've watched this weekend by pulling north instead of south. And we see a lot of the teams who are up in that north side, you can already see a kind of complete shift, an almost paradigm shift in the way that the players are playing. When it comes to that south zones, no one's in the zone early. But when it comes to the north zones, suddenly everyone is in that center zone already. It's already stacked. So players like Karmi and Nefrizi, who are rotating in late, are going to have a tough time finding a power position on one of those hills where they need to be in.
Outside the FNCS as well, when you look at the lumberyard, when you look at the zone play in general, when it comes to cash cups and a bunch of the games that have just been played, 26% of the time we're in the top left hemisphere. It's one of the most common games overall for a bunch of the players. I believe that just also might be FNCS wide across the world in general.
Interesting.
All the games. So it might not be cash cups entirely, but if you look at that pattern just for the FNCS, You understand and realize a bunch of players should have good game plans overall in terms of, you know, how things look in this zone. Yeah, they're basically, you know, we talk about home zone a lot of the time. They'll be in comfort in the environment they're around it.
This is a team right here that I hope is comfortable. This is the South Sleepy Sounds team. Lois and Drea, a team that we've talked about all weekend, a team that I've hyped up at the start of the first day yesterday. You know, stinky performances off spawn, in all honesty. They continually went down. They continually lost in a drop spot they're not comfortable with, but now have switched back to their home spot, Sleepy Sounds, the south side. They've pulled a zone that's favorable to them as well.
That's the thing, right? Is it a little bit more tarpy on the top left side? Is it a little bit better for Andretta overall? There has to be a reason they're here for the semis as well, right? And obviously, we know a good team overall when it just comes to character. You're right, the performance has been a little bit sloppy. There can be no excuse for this zone is what I'm trying to say for Andretta and Flois.
100%. They have to put themselves in a good position. They're not as deep in the zone as I would like. Potentially, it has been their struggle so far, not getting that deep into zone, having difficult rotates later on, repeatedly, game after game. So I'm hoping they have a good game plan for rotating after this, once they've kind of got a bunch of tags on the player coming through. Kaizen and Nyazin right now are fourth place team. They are struggling. 53 below. They're looking to take tags. They're unfortunately looking to trade as well.
They're going to continue to struggle because when it comes to this duo on the top portion of your screen right now, I feel like they're the late duo. We're talking about procrastinators at the very start of this broadcast. Let's bring it full circle. I always see them on zone line. I always see them low ground in these end games. And they do conserve materials that way. They get to abuse other people's locations. When it comes to these mountainous zones, it's a lot more difficult to play that low ground. It's a lot more difficult to survive in mid around all these teams switching layers. And already they're starting to struggle with Surge. It's only uphill from here for these boys.
Could be talking of uphill. Till and Julian Colm in the bottom right, trying to drive uphill and struggling, meeting a wall of players in their way. And then bottom left, you see Nate and Sneezy. Similarly, also, all of our teams here on the bubble and all struggling with this surge, all in a clustered area.
Look at these names too. Julian Colm, Kaizen, Yaisen, Sneezy, Nate. Some of them might not be here in the finals. This is the last game. And that's just 3 teams we want to be there. Out of the other 3 that can go out through consistency, and the one that'll be there through the win. We will see an upset of a team that's usually there inside the finals. A prestigious name not allowed to play in this first duels FNCS.
Every single team we're watching right now, 1 shot above or 1 shot below on the threshold. The zone now starting to tick. All 3 of our teams who are on the bubble starting to struggle. Nate's teammate, Sneezy, has been completely weakened down. The material starting to dwindle on the top. We see Kaizen 14 above, just doing anything he can. Now 18 below the threshold again, starting to dwindle down on the chug splashes as well. Julian Colm, 18 above from trading. This is one of the closest Storm Surges I've ever seen on the leaderboard of Surge. These guys must all be absolutely next to each other.
When Nate takes a shot, Julian Storm Surge goes down. When Kaizen lands something, they all start to switch. These are the only team, 6 out of the 7 players that influence each other with every shot they take.
Rough to see Julian Colm's managed to get up ahead. Nate actively getting tagged by at the same time. Kaizen just tiptoeing over the line of 15 above, over and over. This triple view beautifully demonstrating every single angle, but now going down into Nate to show you exactly who's in trouble.
Both other teams have gotten almost 100 above. Nate and Sneezy stuck down in the depths, 23 below. They started just right here beside a mountain, but suddenly this box does not look like home. Force and Wings, one of the most aggressive duos I would sometimes akin to being an armadillo when it comes to trying to pressure. It's impossible to crack the shell. They're going to stop Sneezy from going in and getting any damage, and now it's all up to Nate.
I think Nate ended up letting Sneezy go down there because that ended the Storm Surge. He knows that as a solo, this is the only opportunity for him to qualify. He's in the top 5 right now. He has Wings and Force spraying at his walls as a duo. Just, again, I'm going to say it, dwindling the materials down. He uses the only launch pad that he has. He has no heals. He has absolutely nothing, and that team's just tracked him. That's followed him. The tree started to fall onto his build, but no avail underneath the cone right now. Center third zone. That's so rough for him.
I'm speechless right now. FNCS finals without Nate and Sneezy in it is what it's looking like for the moment. Launch pad down. So many shields already used. Third place. Skyzoo. Jox going in to the box. 0 HP. It is a replay of third place going down. And that was 121 points from what we saw earlier on. From analytics, it was 129 that was needed. So even them, depending on if a top 6 team wins or even a team ahead of them winning, they might not even make it to the finals.
That means they're going to be locked in time. Is up there
139, my apologies.
139.
129. 139?
So them being locked in time, low 120s, that has to have a huge shift in terms of who qualifies, right? If the teams above them win a game, that threshold could drop big time. We've seen a lot of players up there struggle, which could shift that threshold a ton. But guys like Flois and Andrea, who are on that congested side of the zone with a ton of other players, they have to capitalize on this final opportunity to make it to the finals.
Majority of teams getting the zone. It will be a squish, a crunch for a bunch around the outsides. I mentioned 129 before because I thought that everyone was close to qualifying currently for the moment. But it looks like there's a journey. 10 more even points on top of that to 139 for a majority of these teams. I thought Nate was just right there. Maybe the 6th, 7th zone is all he had to conquer. But he'll have to go towards the 8th and 9th. With just these materials, with his medal already half out, this is just disaster for Nate.
He snuck back here. He was away by himself. He snuck over here back to the loot of the players that he was just fighting at before and his teammate Snazy. Remember, his inventory had no shield in it. He was down to white HP. He's now managed to get himself back up to almost 100 builds, tons of heals left, and now with a shot at qualification.
Prize pool of $1.3 million, a chance to play for it overall. That'll be on the mind for all these teams currently as well. Frizz and Carmi looking at their position on the boards right now. 9th place, almost gonna need more than 30 points. I mean, the only team that's comfortable right now, Reese, have to be Clement and Floki, the Solary boys, rolling in. They started this game with 143. They've kind of already done the damage needed. If they win overall, that will change things for a bunch of teams below them. That'll basically add an extra slot to that top 6 in terms of who qualified.
But again, they're not game winners. They're 2nd, 3rd, 5th, consistent placement teams. They're not guys who are going to go for height and go for the win unless they're just feeling confident in the final game. So the teams that you're looking for right now on your screen are the ones who are more than likely going for the win.
Welcome to Storm Surge Part 2. Once again, we see teams above that line, below that line. That line specifically. Yeah, 185 for Nate. You thought it got worse with one teammate being down. You thought it got worse with the mats being gone and not around. This man needs to find basically 2 teammates worth of damage. You know, sometimes you get the 100, that person shields up. You have to go and get the 100 again. There's no way someone just lets you deal that 200 once, and I don't see a sniper in his inventory, so he doesn't have a chance for that big shot. Even a headshot at this point would not be enough with 225 being the plate he's being served. Flois and Andretta also in trouble. That 4 number looking that much more scary if it's Frey on your box. Andretta will not go down, surprisingly staying up, and Flois will still go for a beam against 2 players entirely. They have the right side edit. They have a few chances for a shot. Flois gets blocked. He's gonna go for the 2v1 beam. He does not get the elimination on one side. He had an opening, but there's no damage, no chance. He's giving them too much time. He has to just edit in and do something. He elects for Andretta to go down, does not trade for the 2 eliminations. He does not go all in. It's all up to Flois now.
That is the issue with not having a shotgun in your inventory. That was a 1v2 clutch he could have easily put into play, but the choice of inventory just was not there. This is the meta he went to work for. Now he's left with no heals, but luckily he still has the launch pad in his inventory as we switch over to Nefreezy, who's chilling on Surge, chilling on position, not so chilling on the rotate back over to Snake. However, on that far right hand side, he's got a duo trying to run straight inside of his box. He does have the shotgun. He's trying to hit the shots. He's below. He's now 38 above at the same time. He's getting straight out that box. He knows where the danger is. He knows he has to get out. He's the only player below Storm Surge at this point. 15 below, 1 shot. 1 AR tag will put him up above. This is the clutch for qualification, potentially, if he stays in this. And Cheatin goes down in the feed. So does Recycling and Pickle. The Surge is now over. Things have calmed. There's a moment to breathe for Nate. And yeah, he's still looking to shoot some players.
He knows that Storm Surge has a part 3. It's still not done with him just yet, and that number was 96. He had to climb. The people getting the eliminations on these people that are following in the feed as well. Reese, that should be paid attention to. Zara picking up a few of the eliminations. Kidwo as well got one of them, and we just saw Frey and Kidwo pick apart Andretta as well, so they have a huge refresh to work with. Zaka, who's Zara's teammate, gets a nice Elim fully confirmed as well. Look at Flois and where we left him. Very similar to Nate. These are two stories, two legendary paths. We might just see close here before the end game even starts.
No, Nate goes down in the zone at the backside. Potentially the shots were not correct play. Rose the awareness of everyone else to the lobby. Now it's down to Flois, losing Andrea, 8th place currently. No heals, 15 builds, 1 launch pad to his name to clutch up.
Low ground, all there is struggle for people who aren't even moving in the zone. It's tough to see Nate go down that way, but it kind of shows you how that low ground will play out for a majority of these teams, and they've been used to being in that spot. Zara actually going down. They have a pad and should be so good on builds, depending on all the action we just saw them take a part of, but it's Leon that snaps their story in half. Flois finally goes down to Rafa, so Andretta will not be there alongside Flois in the finals of this FNCS either. Zaka, though, will have to try to solo clutch this. Kaden and Cruel have been here since day 1 on the right side of your screen. They're in 7th place and have high ground for what it looks like. They must either play really well or go for the win, but Kane slips, slides, and falls. They're having trouble editing through these builds. The pressure amounting to too much. Their blood freezing inside these close, flowy mountains, and Kane is down, put on ice. Cruel now left by himself. No launch pad, has the builds, but is stuck between a rock.
With their focus, their eyes looking onto Cruel as a solo. One mere man trying to make his way through the entire lobby. He's 108 below the surge at the same time. It's ticking, his heel's going, the zone's catching up. He's just doing whatever he can to hit the damage, hit the shots onto some of the other players in the lobby at the same time. This is a potential qualification over, but hold on. He's moved up to 6th place on the leaderboard so far. So the 7th place team is currently down and underneath him. Go.
Right foot creep, oh, walking with that heater. Look around, stay low, make sure they don't see you. The devil under your feet, you're on your way to see him. Right foot creep, oh, walking with that.
This box is going to get splintered to side splash. Storm, no mats available. FNCS. All fire run on the line. He now and finds it. Rusty, he was the one getting.
I don't know what's wrong with their stream.
You're not going anywhere, but we are going to the finals.
Yeah, I love that from them, right? They didn't lose composure. When they lost high ground, we'll talk about it because one team did make this mistake, but when they lost high ground, they didn't lose composure. They realized, hey, let's try to chop it down. They went for the chop down. Eventually, it played off for them and they were able to win out the game. They deserve to be in the final. Good job. It's not easy, right, to hold your nerve in the last game when you know everything's on the line, when you're not quite sure if you have enough points to secure in the top 6, but they were able to pull through. So big congratulations. I'm not sure, actually, is that their first FNCS for those guys? I think it might be for Flawless, maybe, but, you know, big congrats to them. Going to be great to see them in the finals next weekend.
Yeah, very a lot of pressure going on to them, and they were able to close it out, staying as a nominally consistent round of 6 matches going through. They'll definitely be on that leaderboard, but we don't know completely what that leaderboard is going to look like. As everyone said, just keep an eye on the bottom left-hand corner. You can see nearly every team who was in this endgame was right around kind of that single or double digits towards the end, and then they were dropping, but you can just see the work they were consistently putting down in the team for them.
So good, absolutely ridiculous. So we're in the back, right? Let me just set the stage for you guys, you viewers at home. Number way they end. Wait, does that mean that this team's still up?